ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Prabhujis, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, and we are going to read the 67th verse. So another very beautiful verse from Bhagavad Gita. So Lord Shri Krishna, he says to Arjun ji, Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anuvidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayur navamivam bhasi. So very beautiful verse. इंद्रियाणाम हि चरताम यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञाम वायुर्नावमिवं भसि। इंद्रियाणाम हि चरताम यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञाम वायुर्नावमिवं भसि। So very beautiful shlok, very beautiful verse. Indriyanam, of the senses, he certainly, Chartam, while herding over, yat, that, manah, mind, anuvidhiyate, becomes constantly engaged, tat, that, asya, his, harati, takes away, pragyam, intelligence, vayuhu, wind, navam, a boat, iva, like, ambasi, on the water. As a boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. As a boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, Vayur Navam Iva Ambhasi, even one of the senses on which mind focuses, Yat Manaha Anuvidhiyate, on which mind focuses, can carry away a man's intelligence. Tadasya Harati Pragyam, Tadasya Harati Pragyam. Indriyanam hi charatam. So very beautiful verse. In the purport, Swami Shrila Prabhupada is explaining, unless all of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. As mentioned in the life of Maharaj Ambarish, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. So very beautiful verse. Indriyanam hi charatam. So Indriya, the senses, they are always hankering. All the senses, they are habituated for sense gratification from time immemorial. All of us, we do not know from how long we are here in this material world. So every living entity, they are in this material world from time immemorial. Bahunam janmanam ante, and after many lives, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan, one gets knowledge, proper knowledge of Krishna consciousness, Gyanvan Mam Prapadyate. So Lord Shri Krishna, that's why he is speaking the knowledge of Krishna consciousness to Arjunji. So one who gets knowledge of Krishna consciousness after many lives, Brahmand Brahmite Kono Bhagyavanji. So from time immemorial we are here in this material world, and each sense, all of our senses, eyes are habituated for seeing something beautiful in this material world, and they are always seeking beautiful forms. The nose, it is always seeking some good fragrance. The tongue, it is always demanding, the tongue is always demanding for good palatable dishes. Like that, all the senses, they are always Indriyanam hi charatam, herding over, charatam. So the senses, they are herding over. The senses, they are always seeking sense gratification, and they are habituated. They are habituated of sense gratification. So if one engages in sense gratification, even through one of the senses. Swami Srila Prabhupada. So if the mind focuses mano, yan mano anuvidhiyate, yat manah anuvidhiyate, yan mano anuvidhiyate. So if mind focuses on even one of the senses, Swami Srila Prabhupada is describing even on one of the senses, then tadasya harati pragyam. So tadasya harati pragyam, one's intelligence can be lost. It is so powerful, the sense gratification, or even if on one of the senses, if the mind focuses on one of the senses, then it can take away man's intelligence. And Lord Shri Krishna is giving the example of a boat. How a boat is carried away, swept away by a strong wind on the water, in the ocean, by a strong wind, navam, vayur navam iva ambasi, on the water. So as the boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. So that's why Swami Srila Prabhupada in the previous purports also he explained, and that is the Bhagavatam Vidhi. Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that all the senses one should not allow even one of the senses to get engaged in sense gratification for gratifying without having connection. So sense gratification is without having connection with the Supreme Lord. Hari Sambandha, Hari Sambandhi. So Hari Sambandha is very, very important. So the example of Amrish Maharaj, very wonderful example of Amrish Maharaj, Lord Swami Srila Prabhupada, he explained in the previous purport, and it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. He engaged all his senses. Savai manaha Krishna padar vindeo. He fixed his mind on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and Swami Srila Prabhupada explains the mind can rest at only one place. The lotus feet of the Supreme Lord are the resting place of the mind, because every living entity is part and parcel and eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. So an obedient servant is always focused on the lotus feet of his master. So because every living entity in this material world, they are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, they are eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. So their mind can only rest on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That's why Amrish Maharaj and all the great Vaishnava Acharyas, they always keep meditating on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So Savai Manaha Krishna Padar Vindayo Vachamsi Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane Karau Harer Mandir Marjanadishu Shrutim Chakara Sat Hari Sat Achutya Kathodaye. So he engaged all his senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. That is the right way. Otherwise, even if one of the senses, because in the senses indriyanam hi charatam yan mano anuvidhiyate, and if mind focuses on any of the senses, tadasya harati pragyam, vayu, the way wind, strong wind, a boat is swept away by the wind. A boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind. So the way a strong wind, it carries away a boat on the water. Lord Shri Krishna is taking the example. So in the same way, even if one of the senses on which the mind focuses can carry away man's intelligence, unless all the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even if one of them is engaged in sense gratification. So those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, those who are sadhakas, those who are trying to become perfect under the guidance of a spiritual master, those who are trying, they should not allow any of the senses to engage in independent enjoyment or in sense gratification, in things, in gratifying things which are not related with the Supreme Lord. hari sambandhi vastunaha. So things which are not, if one cannot justify any gratification which is not legitimate or which is not granted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is not as per the religious codes and conducts of the revealed scriptures, which are not meant for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, such sense gratification, even if it is done with one of the senses and mind focuses, so if the mind focuses on sense gratification on any of the senses, then it can carry away the man's intelligence. Tasya pragya harati. Tadasya harati pragya vayur navam iva ambhasi. And the example Lord Shri Krishna gave as a boat on water, vayur navam iva ambhasi, as a boat on water is swept away by a strong wind. Even one of the senses on which the mind focuses, anuvidhiyate, yadmana anuvidhiyate, mind focuses. So if mind, then mind will change the goal. When mind will change the goal, the bhava, when the bhava is changed, in the previous verses Lord Shri Krishna explained. So when the bhava is changed, one's intelligence is lost. So it is very, very important for all the sadhakas, for all the practitioners, those who are trying to become perfect in Krishna consciousness, to not allow any of the sense to engage in gratification independent of the Supreme Lord, which is not granted as prasadam, which is not the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So to engage in sense gratification which is not legitimate, which is not allowed, which is not sanctioned by the codes and conducts of revealed scriptures, which is not sanctioned by an authorized acharya, a spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession. So such sense gratification can lead to one's fall down. It can take away tadasya harati pragyam, it can take away one's intelligence. Because the bhavana, in the previous verse Lord Shri Krishna explained, the bhavana is very, very important. So if bhavana is not there, if mind focuses on sense gratification or on any sense which is engaged in sense gratification, then mind will change the goal and mind will accept lower engagement. So tadasya harati pragyam vayur. So the Swami Srila Prabhupada, he is writing, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. As mentioned in the life of Maharaj Ambrisha, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. If the senses will be engaged, because senses, they want real engagement, Swami Srila Prabhupada explained in the previous purports. So if all the senses are already engaged in Krishna consciousness, then there is no chance. So for all the sadhakas, those who are trying to advance, those who are trying for transcendental advancement, they should be very, very careful. So Lord Shri Krishna is explaining to Arjunji and to all of us. So very beautiful verse, Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anuvidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayur navam iva ambasi. Taking the example of a boat on the water, as it is swept away by a strong wind, similarly the force of sense gratification is like a strong wind which will carry away the intelligence which is compared to the boat on the water. So which can carry, so as a strong wind can carry away a boat on the water, similarly the strength of sense gratification can make one engage into material activities again, can carry away one's intelligence. And those who are trying to become perfect in Krishna consciousness, they can fall down. They can get involved into lower engagements, material engagements, and hence their yoga can be lost. So very, very beautiful verse. In our next session, we will try to understand the next verse from the Bhagavad Gita, from the instructions of Lord Shri Krishna. Till then, I would like to stop this session here. Jai Vishnupad Paramhans Parivrjakacharya Shrotrashat Shri Srimati Divine Grace of Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. All glories to His Divine Grace. Krishna Kripa Murti Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Shri Krishna. All glories to Bhagavad Gita. All glories to Lord Shri Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.